Hey guys, I have a quick video that I wanted to show you that it's pretty interesting, and it's the obviousness about how reoccurring patterns are real and that they tell the story. And I'm going to do this quick one on the Marianas Trench. I won't show you all the alignments, but I'll just show you some ones that are right next to it. And basically, I want to just point out that, like, if you forget about what plate tectonics says and what we've been told, and you just simply look at the Earth's surface features, you can see that things are in the process of moving. These have to be basically still images of something pretty significant that's happened. And if you really just tear this apart, they claim that this area is a subduction zone. But just looking right at this, you can tell that this is a one piece here, one layer. Here's another layer, and you can tell that this is like a image slopped right over it, like a wet noodle. Can you imagine that somewhere along the line that this plate is going underneath this one? But what's this area right here? You know what I mean? Like, and then if you look closer, you'll notice that these are layers. These are different layers. Look. You can see the layering. The other bizarre thing is that these ridges. There's one. I have two theories about these ridges and stuff like that. I think some of them are turbulence, and then I think others are like when you trowel drywall mud and you hit when you hit bumps. The bumps will cause ridges in the drywall mud because of the trowel. So it'll like telescope the bumps, and I'm starting to wonder if that might be what's happened here with layers moving away, hitting bumps and then causing the ridges in the material underneath, because you do see bumps here. So like if you had a trowel and you hit this bump, it would cause a ridge like that, and if you have a bunch of bumps, it'll cause a bunch of ridges like that. So I don't know. So it could be a combination of the two. But anyways, I gotta get finished on this. What I want to show you is that when you look at this, you can see that this has got to be turbulence right here. In geology, they even know, but they don't tell you this. I don't. I had somebody told me this. And then I looked it up to find out that it was true. That minerals, geologists have noticed that minerals are deposited in swirls and what looks like ejections, and they really didn't know why they didn't know why that would be like that. But like any good human, I guess, we'll create, we'll come up with something whether it's true or not, And I'm sure they came up with something really complicated to explain it, but it doesn't make sense. It really doesn't. And what does make sense is, well, you're looking at it right here. You're seeing, what you're seeing here is crisscrossing. You can see how this goes this way, something goes this way. You get these X's too. You get like X shapes. For instance, you start to see, images like this, where it looks like you can tell that there's twisting going on here. You can just tell that there's turbulence, there's twisting, and there's probably ejections. Everything that they claim that they see can be described by a vortex. And this all boils down to reoccurring patterns. And the reoccurring patterns are basically You can see it right here. This is what I'm claiming is an overspill. They think this is just uh, ridges made by pressures built up, but it's funny that the pressures that they built up look just like an overspill. You can see it, look, spilling out, hitting something, and covering it. It's starting to spread. It's starting to pull up, and then it's starting to spin. And the vortex-shaped continent below the Himalayas kind of gives it all away. It really does. It's almost too easy and too obvious. Because that's the way I felt when I first saw this. I was like, well, this looks like a vortex, but it couldn't be this simple, could it? Well, it could actually. And reoccurring patterns. I've showed reoccurring patterns match up perfectly that were on opposite sides of the planet, like here and here. They match perfect. They do. This matches perfectly up with the Himalayas and this whole area, and anybody will see that if they just do their own overlay. I guarantee it. But reoccurring patterns don't have to happen perfectly opposite sides of the planet. They also most likely are sitting right next to one another like this and this. And then, believe it or not, you rotate this and they fit real basically in here. And let me just show you with the Marianas Trench, that's a subduction zone. This plate, this giant plate, is supposedly scraping underneath this one and being burned up right here, but where is it? Where's all the volcanoes that would pop up here? I mean, according to them, there's volcanoes around the Ring of Fire, but I'm claiming that that's because the Pacific Plate is actually a recent rupture. I mean, you can just look at this and you can see it. You can see it split right here. You can see that these look like drapes that are being pulled open because something bigger is coming through. And you got Hawaii sitting dead center, as if it's the center of this rupture. And you can tell, and it is simple to prove, because you take this and it lines up with this. But then it also spins around and you can see that also in the features here. So I just kind of wanted to give you a rundown, and then I'm just going to show you some simple reoccurring stuff that's right next to each other. These couldn't be really any closer unless you move them on top of one another and take a look below. So let's do that. See, this is what I work with right here. I do a lot of tracking down, and I don't know, I think maybe sometimes the trolls that watch my videos think I just randomly come up with stuff and just throw it out there for some reason, but a lot of the stuff I track down, and it takes me a long time to get certain things on video because I spend a lot of time tracking down other things because that's how this works. This doesn't just like one thing at a time. When I line things up, I notice other alignments around the edges here, so then I have to get straight on shots and check them out and see if they always align, by the way. That's the thing about this. That's why I went ahead and decided to go ahead and do this whole project, is because it didn't take me long to realize that this is not a figment of my imagination. The fact that things keep lining up when I'm moving to the center, straight on shots, was more than enough for me to realize that this is a game changer for geology. They just don't know it yet. Okay, this is the image that I'm first gonna start overlaying. Is this guy. He looks like, here's the overspill, He's coming out. He's got this arm sticking out. Mariana's Trench is to the left, but because it's a recurring pattern, I'm going to go ahead and slide it over here because they're the same thing at one time. And just throwing it right here, you can see that the swirling here is fitting into that hole right here on India. That's just the first thing I noticed. And then I start moving things around, and I'll start noticing other alignments, especially here with the Himalayas. You can see how the texture seems to run along with the mountain peaks. If I move it over a little bit, you can see that there's an exact match. Like that, you know. And you can see that some of the images here are playing into this. The features of one overlay looks like they are responsible for the other features in the other overlay. And that's something that you have to closely inspect on your own, because it would take me all day to go through every detail, which I'd love to do, but I'm sure you'd be bored out of your mind. See, as I move this down, I'm looking here. When I say that these are reoccurring patterns, I mean that then I can take this. This looks like a big round swirling thing, by the way. I can then take this feature right here that you see line up here and match some of the features underneath, and I can simply slide it over here and rotate it, and you can see that it fits into here now. Just like that. See how it gets wide and everything. This is the result of spinning right here. Right here. It might even be a hexagon, but it's just distorted and all that, so it's hard to see, and most of it's submerged underwater. And they've widened that out. That's funny, huh? Like this, you could see everything here, but in here you cannot. I'm assuming it's because it's sand, but I don't know. Look at the markings start to fit over and over again. Oops, right here. You can see that how I had it lined up here. See the bigger picture. Let's move that out of the way. You can see that this also fits on the edge of this, but that's over here. And what I'm thinking that is that it's the consequence of looking at a smaller object that's now been spread out open on a larger object. So I think what it tells me is that this wraps around and hits here, but you got to think that, well, during that process this would be flipped backwards. If it wraps around to meet up with here, then everything, I think, would be reversed. It's hard for me to explain this, but if this wraps around here, then this must also fit reversed. And I'm not even sure if this is going to work out right here. I have a reversed image. Where'd it go? Hold on, let me find it. Okay, here's the reverse right here. And I'm saying that if this fits here, then this area would have to be reversed because it'd be on the back side. And I get that impression when I line this up, especially with the arm here. This is a little bit more complicated than I wanted it to be, but I figure I'd throw it out there because I'm sure some people will get this. But this reversed image now is fitting into the features again, reversed and forward. It does it up both ways as a consequence of looking at what would have been a smaller planet. And my proof is that the alignments align, and they do. I guess the rest can be battled out with images and stuff like that, but they do align, and you can see that the round parts here cutting through here where, gosh darn it, hold on, let me move this, where you can see this ridge. So almost like as if it was like cutting it down or something, I don't know. You see how this can get complicated, but it's actually a simple thing. It's just sometimes it's hard to wrap your mind around what you're actually seeing here, but you can see the alignments as this starts to bend like the arm, and the features start to blend in as if this was sitting below this lip right here at one time. And my evidence is that they align. The alignments align. If it doesn't make sense, the one thing that you can always fall back on is that the alignments align. And maybe sometimes that's all you really need to know. See? Look at that. The more I talk and move this around, the more alignments I find. Look, that's a solid alignment. And it's reversed. And I explained to you why it was reversed, because the back side of a two-dimensional image of a small three-dimensional planet. It's a consequence of the two trying to use one to show the other. Okay, so now back with the regular shot, and I was showing you the alignments here. This is not reversed anymore. This is the regular one, and you can see it's fitting in, you know, basically where I put it, like that. You can see that as it's sweeping through this, the Marianas Trench looks like if you would, like a windshield wiper, right? And this is your window. Look to the left of the Marianas Trench, and you see a line of islands that go to Hawaii. But if you look further, you could see that there's the west coast. There's Alaska right here, and then there'll be the west coast down here. So like this, here's the west coast. Here's that same image of the Marianas Trench. And remember I said think of it as a sweeping windshield wiper. And you can see the alignment here. And you can see it's reversed. That's the other thing, is when these reverse, they stagger, because this is also rotating. It's really confusing, but it does add up though in the end. That if I take this image and then I take that other one, where did I put it? Hold on. Here it is. And this reversed, and I put it over the same area, you get a second alignment reversed. And my proof is that they align. The fact that they align should override anything that you believe to be factual. It doesn't matter that plate tectonics says, well, there's plates under there. None of that is possible. It doesn't matter what plate tectonics says. The fact that I can show you the alignment proves that it's correct, or none of this would align, right? Look at that alignment. You can actually see what may have caused these cutouts here on the Baja of California just by searching the other areas. And that's the beauty of the truth, is that it rings true no matter how you look at it. See how that's, see that right there? It's like a kind of like a triangular feature. Well, there it is. While I'm lining this up here. The other thing that proves that I'm right on that is you see these islands right here. They're in a specific order and they're spaced a certain distance apart. And when you overlay this, you can tell that that is the consequence, that this is the consequence of the features below. You see the lines. When you take a trowel and you run drywall mud and you hit a bump, you're going to get ridges like this from the bump. And those ridges are going to line back up with the source of the bump. And it's right here. You can see, I mean, it's, you know, I can only do so much in the quality of these images, but you can see that they do line up. And I guarantee that whoever does this on their own is going to see that too. That's how the truth works. It doesn't just work for one person. It works for everybody that does it. Anyways, this thing's getting long enough. I have to go to work, and I get my best stuff when I'm obligated to someone else, believe it or not. So you can imagine how many times I'm going to be late to work, because this is the only way I seem to be able to get my best stuff. And look at the alignment here. And there, what's this, Yellowstone Park? You can see processes related to Yellowstone Park. It's making me start to wonder if, well, I'll get to that another time when I have more time. But to all my trolls and anybody that's a scientist that believes in plate tectonics, there's my proof that it's wrong. Prove that I would just like for anybody that believes that I'm wrong to just go ahead and make a video that's going to prove that any of this that I just showed you is wrong. Any of it. And what's cool about that is that when you have the truth on your side, it's hard to debunk the truth. Very hard. So this is why you don't see a lot of people on my channel blowing me out. You know, you've seen in the past people name calling. They'll try to argue something. They'll try to argue about other things that have nothing to do with this, but they won't specifically attack this one thing. And you know, look the alignment over here, and then it splits. But look at the fit up to that split, and then you got a mysterious looking split right here. And you got the Hawaiian Islands too. You can't, that's something else I'll have to go into later. But there's more to this. This is not just the end of it. This is the beginning, actually, of what is amazing, solid evidence that plate tectonics wrong. And so are my trolls, by the way. And I kind of knew that right out of the gate when I first started this. So it's not like I was ever worried about this. It's just how I'm worried about how I'm going to get it to people that need to know the truth about our planet. Look at the alignment again. Reoccurring patterns. They keep reoccurring, or else I'd be wrong. And this is showing you the underlying images of the West Coast here. That's why I'm telling you, I can show you guys, I will be able to show you guys the creation of our planet with its own images, because it's been embedded in the surface. The surface features are the images of the planet's creation. And these images say that all the mainstream science is wrong. That because they claim gravity makes planets. They think that dust particles collect over billions of years. How many years do these people need to make up reality? I mean, they claim that these dust particles then form together, and somehow over billions of years they form a planet that has a core, and has organized its metals by weight, categorized them, and everything. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make sense. It does not make sense. But a vortex could do all that simply, quickly, and it could organize everything, because plasma and vortexes will do that. They'll organize things by weight. They'll have reoccurring patterns of itself. I mean, it just all makes clear sense this way. The plate tectonics is a joke. If a theory cannot solve, a theory is designed to solve problems and understand things, but what has plate tectonics solved? Yeah, that there's earthquakes. Well, we already knew that there's earthquakes, but they're there because plates move. But I don't see the plates, and it doesn't solve anything. It just created something else. Now we have to find out what these plates are, and it just keeps growing. It's distorted and disorganized, and you've got thousands of people that get paid money, and they're trying to make it make sense any way they can, when the truth is just will make sense no matter what. Anyways, thanks for watching.